world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Score more with the college-branded Venmo debit card and earn up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash. Got paid back? With the Venmo debit card, you can instantly access your balance and spend on what you want, like game day snacks, gear, tickets, and more. The more you do, the more cash back you can earn. Plus, there's no monthly fee or minimum balance. Sign up now at Venmo.com/collegecard. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. Select schools available. Venmo Stash terms and exclusions apply at venmo.me/stash terms. Max $100 cash back per month.
Protein is now at Starbucks, and it's never tasted so good. You can add protein cold foam to your favorite drink or try one of our new protein lattes or matcha. Try it today at Starbucks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Achtung Millwall. Broadcasting from beautiful South Bermondsey, it's the #1 Millwall podcast. Accept no substitute.
There's a hot wind blowing on the cold blow lane. There's a burned out car over the blocked up drain. Some days
Hello there listeners, welcome to an impromptu edition of Achtung Millwall. Yes, impromptu. I was just sitting staring idly at my iPad and I thought, well, why not try and put a few notes together for a show, midpoint show rather, of the international break, the interminable international matches, which hardly seem to be any of them on. The one saving grace is you get to see some football. And yesterday passed me by largely without any choices at all. So great setup FIFA, but there we are, dear listeners. We are, of course, in the kind of purgatory period before our trip to Riverside Stadium, Middlesbrough, on Good Friday. This coming Friday, 12:30 kickoff. 2,000 plus Lions going to be making the trip up there. Sold out away end. I've just got my digital ticket sent to me today by the club. It's going to be some match, dear listeners. Just 7 games to go in what has, in truth, already been a memorable 25-26 season, hasn't it? I mean, I don't think any of us really expected to be this far deep into the season and have a shot. And I think it's an outside shot, being realistic, but nevertheless, it is a chance of automatic promotion. Can it become a historic season if that comes off? Well, we're going to need to start on Friday, dear listeners, at the Riverside Stadium. We're going to really need a win there to make automatic promotion a realistic chance. I'm contradicting myself there, aren't I? To make automatic promotion, you know, a stronger chance still. The one saving grace, if we can get 3 points at Middlesbrough, is that Borough and Ipswich have to play each other. That's on 19th of April, but before that, East Anglian rivals Norwich and Ipswich have to play each other in the old East Anglian derby. Norwich will want to take points off of their nearest and dearest rivals, won't they? So we need 3 points at Middlesbrough. I don't think there's really any other way I can put it. I know it's not all over and done with. Good night, Viennetta, if we don't win now. Certainly we don't want to lose, that's for sure. But a win would be massive, would be huge. For me, nothing less than 3 points will really do if we're going to go for that automatic spot. Now that might be setting the bar ambitiously high, but that's really the business that we're in at the moment, isn't it, listeners? No pressure on our squad. Obviously, the international break serves a purpose of sorts in that it gives us a chance to get some players back out of the medical room and back healthy again. But it's a massive moment, and I just want to take a pause before we go into these final 4 weeks of April and one game in May. Oxford at home is the last game of the season, last fixture. But what a huge achievement by Alex Neil and his players. And this has been a wonderful season. We've played some brilliant football. We've had some magnificent games at the Den, and possibly still the best is yet to come. We don't know. If we have to, shall I say, settle for playoff football? That's a bit of a statement for a Millwall fan. Say we're settling for the playoffs, isn't it? But there we are. That's the shot we have of auto. But certainly, if we settle for playoff football, then you know it'd be an incredible achievement if we can pull off promotion. That's all I'm going to say at this stage. But we do approach Friday's game, in my opinion, with the beloved underdog tag. We are really not a very good team when we're the favourites, listeners, are we? I don't think we've been a good team as a favourite historically. When I go back 50 plus years, I don't think we've ever really handled the pressure of being the favoured side, the big side in a situation. Why that is, I don't know. I think probably historically we've struggled since we've entered the Football League in 1921. We've always struggled in the lower divisions, but we've prided ourselves on raising our game for the big, almost cup tie situations. We all know that then when it's fired up, fueled, ready for the visit of a bigger side. I think of the Evertons and back in the days, Arsenal, Chelsea. Just looking at today on X, someone put a replay of the big match in 1976, famous game. I was there. Millwall 3, Chelsea 0. It was a fueled up, fired up day in all senses of those words. And those are the occasions on which we're best. We're not really historically suited to carrying the weight of responsibility, in my opinion. Um, this would be a great time to break that hoodoo, wouldn't it? And I think Alex Neil is the kind of manager that knows exactly what's required for these situations. I was looking at one of the episodes I mentioned in the previous show. Hassan tipped me to watch the final couple of episodes of season 3 of Sunderland Till I Die, which is quite interesting because it features Alex Neil as Sunderland manager. It's going back to 22, 23, I think it is the season. Also opposing them in their playoff game in League from League One is Sheffield Wednesday, featuring Barry Bannon and also Massimo Luongo, which is quite interesting. Alex Neil doesn't hugely feature in the show. There's one brief clip of an interview, and he's almost like not quite a passing through character. They focus on him, but he doesn't give them much. It's a reality TV show, fly on the wall or whatever you want to call it. And I don't really think he was comfortable with it, to be blunt. So although he's obviously on screen and he's pictured in games giving his instructions to players and urging them on and all the rest of it, there's only really barely a couple of moments of interview with him. So it's quite hard to detect much about his style, other than the fact he seems very cool under pressure. It was a high-pressured, powered semi-final versus Sunderland versus Sheffield Wednesday with a late equaliser from, I think it was Barry Bannon that got the goal. If I think back, if my memory's not failing me. So yeah, there wasn't much to pick up from him. What I did pick up was interesting. I think Hassan touched on this. Is that Barry Bannon is a talker on the pitch, and he talks to his own players, but he also talks to the opponents as well. Gets in their heads slightly, and that may well be invaluable come these final 7 games of the season. So there we go. How will we approach Friday's game? I think we've got to approach it in a similar vein to the game we had at Ipswich the other day, Portman Road. I think we've got to look to defend, hold them out, and then hit them on the counter. Interesting piece on the news at Den from Tristan Kramer talking about our higher tempo that we played at Portman Road in the second half, saying that we can't do that in every game. It just wears you out. It's too much. Alex Neil made similar points in his post-match conversations, didn't he? So we probably need to keep that back up our sleeves a little bit, but certainly it will be played. Whether that means a front 2 or a front 1, Coburn to start, Ivanovic maybe to come into the game, I don't know. I'm not going to second guess Alex Neil on how he calls these games, but it's going to be some huge situation. My take is that we need to keep it as tight as possible and look to hit them on the counter. That's my take. Obviously injuries. We're hoping to see the return at some point soon of Casper Denor and Ryan Leonard, aren't we? Whether they'll feature on Friday, who knows? Other choices: will Macaulay Langstaff start? I've written on my notes here. Will he start? I don't know. Don't know. He was anonymous at Ipswich, so was Luke Cundall, both of whom I thought had played well recently, but they weren't, much to be seen there at Portman Road, weren't they, dear listeners? So I don't know. This is why Alex Neil has paid the bucks. We shall see on Friday what starting 11 we've got. Biggest Millwall match since the Blackburn home defeat, the last game of 22-23, in my humble opinion. I should be there on Friday. Looking forward to seeing any listeners up there at the Riverside Stadium. Do give me a shout. Let's have a quick look at the News at Den website whilst I'm on the subject of Friday's game. I'm recording this on Monday, dear listeners. So there's a few. I think they struggle when there's no football, don't they? It's gonna be a long summertime for the News at Den, in my opinion. So a couple of stories here. Well, we've got legendary former Millwall defender backs Alex Neil side to earn promotion to the Premier League. Eamon Dunphy, he was a midfielder. Not did I say defender? I did, didn't I? He was a midfielder. Former Millwall player Eamon Dunphy has backed Alex Neil side to win promotion to the Premier League. Dunphy, now aged 80, made 302 appearances for the Lions from 65 to 74, put him 23rd in the all-time list. 25 goals he scored for the club. I saw him on the back end of his career at the Den. He wrote a famous book called Only a Game, which was actually being advertised online the other day. Pitch Publishing, I think, have maybe got a reissue of it. I bought it from that strange, older listeners will remember what I'm talking about. We had a strange souvenir shop, matchday shop, in a converted church up on New Cross Road. You had to go leftwards out of New Cross Station and almost head down towards Deptford, and there's a former church, a chapel, which had been turned into the Millwall Club shop. Very strange setup. And I remember going up there to buy Eamon Dunphy's book. I would have been about 15, I reckon. I remember reading it. Obviously, it made reference to players that I knew, Harry Cripps, Alan Dorney, Kitchen, and the like. But it was actually quite a deep book. And by deep, it goes into the life, the realities, the hard grind of professional football. And it was written from the perspective of a player who, at this point, 1965 to 74, so he was very much on the way out, Eamon Dunphy. I think we moved him on to Charlton. I remember seeing him at Charlton a few times after his Millwall career was over. But it's a kind of hard-edged look at the realities of professional football. How a fading star. I remember one famous bit where he mentions two younger players almost taking the piss out of Harry Cripps by playing around him in training, knocking it. He wasn't quick enough to get to them, and it was almost humiliating. And Eamon Dunphy kind of lays that out in quite stark terms. Like I say, it was a deep book in some respects, not dark, but it didn't deal in fun themes in many respects. And I didn't really absorb it, or I couldn't get with it. Age 15, I was too young. I've reread it since as an adult, and I get it. It's a kind of like the kind of crashing of a dream, which we all face at some point in life. I'm not going to go too heavy on you here, listeners, but we all face stuff like this, don't we? Life, relationships, work, you name it. You have an aim and a dream. No one fulfills every dream, and this was a kind of it was written from the perspective of somebody that was now on the downward slope over the hill. So yeah, very interesting. A very intelligent bloke, very controversial in Ireland, Eamon Dunphy, and he moved on to Charlton, and then became a kind of a top-level journalist out there in Ireland, and I think quite a controversialist on TV. His views and in fact, it says here Dunphy became a successful journalist, author, broadcaster, and an influential football pundit on the Irish state channel RTE. But anyway, he's backing us to win promotion. So thank you very much, Eamon. A very unusual, unique, quirky player in many respects. He played for Manchester United under Matt Busby. I think he wrote an autobiography of Matt Busby, and band U2 as well. The Unforgettable Fire, that was his book. Tristan Kramer saying you can't do for 90 minutes what we did in the second half at Ipswich, article here. A bit of a shout out for the News at Den's Mill podcast. So this is a conversation between John Kelly. Big shout out, John, if you're listening, mate, and Will Scott. And a big shout out to you, Will, as well, if you're listening. I always give it a plug, so I quite enjoy their conversations. And it's different to all of the other Mill content that's different to what I do. So it will be the professional journalist. So yeah, do give if you have to log on to the paid Patreon thing that they do, their News at Den. I don't mind it. It's only £4 a month, and you're supporting local journalism. And I think one of the great mysteries of my life now is in the internet age, people expect content for nothing, don't they? They want to click on stuff, and people have to write it and have to earn a living out of doing it. So that's a method of paying for decent journalism. Listeners, subscribe to the News at Den. That's my tip. Last piece from the News at Den's front page here. Huge overachievement. Overachievement has been a word that people have picked up on from Alex Neil, talking about the side exceeding pre-season expectations. That's probably a better way to put it. But still work to do. Yes, there is 7 games to go. Work to do, Alex. But it has been quite some season, and I certainly didn't expect us to be here. So fingers crossed. Now then, listeners, before we move along, I've actually got a few notes from comments from the net, and then I've got a fixture from the past to run past you. So I'm going to run through the comments from the net. Big thank you to everybody that responds, replies on Spotify and on YouTube. I've tried to pick out all the comments, so I can give everyone a shout out. Big thank you for doing it. Keep them coming, chaps. Great to get feedback. It's great to get reaction. And it also makes a nice episode when things are otherwise quite quiet. So first, I'm going to say a big thank you to Sean Campbell, who's a regular correspondent. He's mentioning a voicemail sent in post Ipswich from Hassan. He says he's got to agree with Hassan, who was a bit critical of aspects of the game now. Even getting into the ground, says Sean, was shambolic. 2 gates for 2001 Millwall. An old Bill Divs closed one turnstile for 10 minutes to ease congestion. Work that one out, he says. Midfield against Ipswich was our problem in the first half, but second half we got our reward, and we were unluckily denied by the woodwork. We were. That was some shot from Mihailo Ivanovic on bang on the 90. What that would have changed things dramatically. But there we are. Millimetres make the difference in the championship, don't they, listeners? Sean is more concerned about Norwich on Easter Monday, Norwich at home, than Middlesbrough away. One at a time, I suppose, Sean. But I don't think we're going to find it easy. 7 games, we've got to raise our game in each of the 7 games to win. That's going to be the route to success. Victories not going to come easy. That's for sure. Big thank you, Sean, for that. The Sam's 04 says Hassan very harsh on Anthony Patterson in his opinion. Patterson Sam says has got better distribution than Crocombe, and while I agree he doesn't come out and command the box much, he is a more reliable shot stopper than Max. That was a world class save he made against Ipswich. All keepers have got a mistake in them. I think actually Crocombe's a pretty good goalkeeper. Whether he's better than Patterson, don't know. You're gonna have to, you'd have to be there at training, seeing what Alex Neil sees. Also, interestingly, going back to that Sunderland Till I Die show, Patterson features for Sunderland. That makes a couple of decent saves in that. So clearly, Alex Neil knows him and is impressed by him. So that probably is the reason why he's muscled his way into Crocombe's position. You do get some odd things online. Bloke here calls himself Elder Robert Junior Boadza. Elder Robert Junior Boadza just says Super Millwall. Super Millwall, Elder Robert. Super Millwall, mate. Jazz Lion 7218. Wonderful show again. Nick and Harry's input. This would be Harry Evans, our new voice. Going to get Harry back soon. Harry Evans and Harry Warren. Going to get him, but I might have a show of Harry's actually. Thinking about it, that'd be confusing, wouldn't it? Anyway, this isn't Harry Evans' new voice. I liked Harry's stuff, listeners. I'm going to get him back very, very soon. Wonderful show. Enjoyed Harry's input. Good of you to highlight the tour. This is the history tour around the Isle of Dogs. Nice photos published by Rob online yesterday on X of including Mark Fairbrother doing the historical walk around the island. So well done, Mark. Keep making Millwall the team on everyone's lips and minds. We are on everyone's lips and minds at the moment, chaps, aren't we? Great times on the air, says Jazz. I've done a few interviews with people, podcasts of various, championship podcasts, all want to know more about this exotic thing called Millwall. We suddenly can't finding ourselves on the radar of people who know nothing about us, dear listeners. Oh, yeah, and Kevin Quirk, you've put a couple of times, Kevin, I will pop into the Memorial Garden, mate, and I will say hello to you next home game. And forgive me for not replying back to you. I've seen your messages, and I know where the Memorial Garden is, of course, and I'll come by and say hello to you, mate. It'd be nice to see you. This is Kevin himself. Nick, like yourself, I've been a Millwall fan for 54 years. You outdo me there, mate. I think I'm not counting my chickens yet. You know what I mean, Nick. Yes, I do, Kev. I know full well what you mean, mate. No chickens are being counted in this neck of the woods, I can tell you. It's actually a very tight top six now. We need a win, listeners. We've got to go to Middlesbrough and win. And that way it'll make it a lot more comfy. There we are. And as I said, I will drop by that Memorial Garden, Kev. Shake your hand, mate. Be nice to see you. What's this one here? This is old Sean again. Doesn't think there's a conspiracy. For fuck's sake, score your goals, win your games. And if John Rankin was a politician, I'd want him as my Prime Minister. John did a very good message after the whole Andrew Kitchen business versus Blackburn. Full on, and I liked it. I toyed with the idea of whether to use it or not, but I did use it. Says what he means, says Sean. He does, indeed. Good luck to you, Sean. And well done, John Rankin. Final one from YouTube. The American Rover loves the new theme song. Bobby T loves it as well. Bobby T, love it. He says, heart. Yep, that's a great song, isn't it? I like that one as well. But I might do another one yet. Display my musical talents, dear listeners. This is from Spotify. Another one from the Elder Robert. Someone's having a laugh at me. Elder Robert Jr. Boazza. Are you out there, Elder Robert? Are you having a laugh at my expense, mate? Super Mill just needs to keep the second half against Ipswich over both halves against Middlesbrough. Easy win. Oh, yeah, easy said. Super Mill. Yeah, easy said. Hard done, Elder Robert. Anyway, praise the Lord. Jonathan on Spotify says Middlesbrough are really stumbling recently. I wouldn't be overly shocked if Millwall win up there on Good Friday. If they can, it really is up for grabs. And Ipswich still have to play Borough. They have to play Borough, and as I've said, they've got to play Norwich, Jonathan. So, yeah, a win will really put the cat amongst the pigeons, dear listeners. On a side note, on that expression, the cat amongst the pigeons, I once represented a young girl at a previous employer. I won't name the employer for agreement reasons when I left them. And she was probably in her early 20s, and there was a case that was as a trade union rep representing her. And I used the expression, we'd made some move in the tribunal. And I said to her that we put the cat amongst the pigeons with that thing. Well, I won't go into the details of what it was, but she'd never ever heard of the expression to put the cat amongst the pigeons. I think it's quite picturesque. She said, "Oh, don't you talk posh?" Do I talk posh, listeners? You tell me. He thought I did. Steve, this is Steve Bowler, isn't it? Playing at the Den in 3026, and this is after the 999-year lease that's being signed. They're still not getting any from the refs on AI versions of Cooper and Coburn. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? If we were playing at the Den in 3026 in 1,000 years' time, and we're using AI reproductions of old players, who would go to watch it? Would there be like a virtual audience? The future, there was a song in the year 2525. Football can survive. Maybe the future FA may come to love us as well. No, I don't think so, Steve. What else we've got? A chirp, says Lions Raw. Chirp, tweet. I'll say back to that. And then finally, another one from Jonathan after that sending off decision v Blackburn. Let's be honest, we're all waiting for Bobby T's calm, cool, and collected dissection of events. Big shout out to Bobby T. Love your stuff, Bob. And he's a lovely bloke, actually. I've met Bob a few times now, and I've got a lot of time for him. So, big thank you to everyone there for their comments and feedback, which are much appreciated. Keep them coming. Do comment on Spotify. Do comment on YouTube, and I will do my best to read them out at the earliest opportunity, dear listeners.
My day kicks off with a refreshing Celsius energy drink, then straight to the gym. Pre-K pickup, back home to meal prep. Time for my fire station shift. One more Celsius, gotta keep the lights on. When the 3-alarm hits, I'm ready. Celsius. Live, fit, go. Grab a cold, refreshing Celsius at your local retailer or locate now at Celsius.com.
They say you should learn something new every day. Like how you should only drink Jägermeister at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, ice cold. Like those frozen cavemen they find, which makes you wonder, what would a caveman think of Jägermeister? Well, if you served it warm, he'd probably throw it in your face, say, "Unga boonga," and storm off. And nobody wants that. So drink it cold or not at all. Jägermeister. Damn, that's cold. Drink responsibly. Jägermeister liqueur, 35% alcohol by volume, imported by Mast Jägermeister, U.S., White Plains, New York.
Your little one grew 3 inches overnight. Adorable. Also, expensive. Sell their pint-sized pieces on Depop and list them in minutes with no selling fees. Because somewhere, a dad refuses to pay full price for the clothes his kids will outgrow tomorrow. And he's ready to buy your son's entire wardrobe right now. Consider your future growth spurt budget secured. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste. Payment processing fees and boosting fees still apply. See website for details.
Achtung, Millwall.
Now then, we've got a retro fixture here for you, as I like to do. Chosen a fixture, a win for Millwall at Middlesbrough. Not many of these about, dear listeners. When you go back into history, it's been the proverbial tough northern away day. So very rare wins, but I have found one from September 1967. Middlesbrough 0, Millwall 1. September 1967. Played in front of 23,446 at Ayresome Park. I never went to Ayresome Park, but I do read on Mill Online that Ayresome Park, the old ground, was one fierce mother of a place. Now that's coming from people that went to the Coldblow Lane. And I have heard similar reports over my time that Ayresome Park, Middlesbrough, was a tough away day. Hard, gritty place. Lions win this one, though. 16th of September. 1967, a 1-0 win. Bobby Hunt scoring in the 67th minute. There's a name that we're going to come back to, Bobby Hunt. I don't think it's a name that I've ever mentioned, really, in the past. 67th minute. We've got a report here from the People, the Sunday People, dated the 17th of September, 1967. Hunt shock sees Millwall home, says Gordon Ray. Middlesbrough 0, Millwall 1. Millwall can thank referee Robinson. Not often we say that. Millwall can thank referee Robinson and a lot of bad temper for this victory. We can say that quite a bit. For more than an hour, they've been hammered hard. Then, as ill feeling became worse, Robinson called a bunch of players together for some straight talking. Paul's unsettled attacking Borough, and wham, Millwall were away. Borough's Chadwick was really to blame with a bad square pass, which Posse latched onto like a flash. He banged the ball in, but it was Bobby Hunt, who headed it home with McPartland stranded way out of his goal. Borough ought to have saved face soon afterwards, but somehow Crossan managed to miss the goal while standing almost on the line. But Millwall must also say a big well done to their rock-like defence, which bounced back attack after attack. Middlesbrough, still without a league victory, were nothing like the side that shot Chelsea out the League Cup in midweek. This game was an anti-climax, and it would have been easier to have sympathy with Borough if they had not missed two of the simplest scoring chances they can ever have hoped to have. Miss number 1 from 4 yards in the first few minutes, shown that centre forward John O'Rourke has lost his scoring touch. Miss number 2 was Crossan's. After O'Rourke's boob, another chance was laid on by the speedy Chadwick, which most centre forwards were snapped up. But what a battering the Mill defence faced in the second half. They stuck it out with little help from the forwards, who had a thin time against Hickton, Borough and Rooks. The Mill team, the star man in this Sunday People assessment was Laurie Leslie, goalkeeper. We then got Gilchrist, John Gilchrist, 7. Dennis Burnett, 7. Ken Jones on 7. Barry Kitchener on 6. Tommy Wilson on 6. Billy Neal with 5. Posse on 7. Derek Posse. Bobby Hunt, goalscorer, on 6. Dunphy on 5. Weller on 5. Substitution would be, let's have a quick look, Dave Armstrong. Harsh judging now, I think, as we've come away with a win, but there we go. I thought I'd pick out a few names for you, dear listeners. I don't think we've ever really mentioned Laurie Leslie, our goalkeeper in that 1-0 win up there at Middlesbrough. He was a goalkeeper with us 1966 to 68, 75 games he played. Former Scottish international, Laurie Leslie. Initially started out as a right back, apparently, in Scottish football. Was a Scottish Cup finalist with Hibernians in 1958. and was West Ham's Player of the Year in 1961-62. Ooh. Was then a League Cup finalist with Stoke before being brought to the Den following the departure of Alex Stepney. We'll go on to fame and fortune with Manchester United, of course, Alex Stepney. Laurie Leslie remained the first choice until losing his place to Brian King. Laurie returned to the club as a coach. I remember him being a coach when I started going in the early 70s. And he organised youth centres for Hackney Council and then worked as the head of centre at Cardinal Pole School in Homerton until his retirement. I remember I used to work in Victoria Park, and Cardinal Pole School is on got the road that leads down to the big junction with the A12 near the bottom end of Victoria Park. I remember driving past it. If you don't know where I mean, don't worry about it. His career took in Hawk Hill, his Scottish side, Newton Grange Stars, Hibernian, Adrionians, West Ham, Stoke, Millwall, Southend, and then managing at Leytonstone. Born in 1935, he passed away in 2019, Laurie Leslie. And two other names I've picked out. The names I like to try and pick out names that I don't really know that well. I mean, I remember Laurie Leslie as a kind of like an assistant coach when I started going, as I've said. I don't know Dave Armstrong at all, who came in as the substitute for John Gilchrist. But I thought I'd mention Dave Armstrong just purely because that's kind of the point of these shows, to try and mention the lesser known players. So he was a winger, Dave Armstrong, 22 games played between 1965 and 1968. He scored just one goal, born in 1942 in Mile End. He would pass away in 2017 in Chelmsford. A career taking in Barking, Ilford, Hornchurch, Millwall, then Brighton, Hove Albion, Dover and Wimbledon. A fee of £500 they paid in the early 70s for him. Dave was an Essex Sprint champion and an outstanding amateur with local outfits Barking, Ilford and Hornchurch. And he was actually selected, interestingly, as a member of the Great Britain Olympic qualifying squad for the Mexico Olympics. But in 1965, instead, turned away from athletics to turn professional with Millwall. Sadly, Dave was unable to match his early promise, and in September 68, he left to join Brighton. It was followed by spells at Dover and Wimbledon. He retired from football in 73 to set himself up in the tailoring business before becoming a driving instructor. That's an interesting life, isn't it? What a range of jobs he's had there. Professional footballer, athlete, that would have been amateur back in those times, and then a tailor and a driving instructor. Dave Armstrong, who listens, a winger. Nice to give him a shout out. Final one, Bobby Hunt, goal scorer in this win that I've picked out up at Middlesbrough, striker for us, 1966 to 68, 50 games played for us, 17 goals. That's not a bad return from 50 matches in a 2-year period. Bobby Hunt, born in Colchester in 1942, a career taking in Colchester, Northampton, Millwall, Ipswich, Charlton, Northampton, and then Maidstone and Bury Town. He was manager of the Colchester Reserves in the late 70s as well. These descriptions are all from Neil Fissler's A to Z book, which I recommend to any self-respecting Millwall supporter. The A to Z of Millwall players. Hard-working goal-getter Bobby Hunt helped Northampton Town into the First Division, and this will be back in the early 60s, after scoring a phenomenal 80 goals in 148 games for Colchester, where he played with elder brother Ron. He was the leading scorer when they finished runners-up to Millwall in their 1962 Division 4 promotion success. Bobby split Millwall fans. This is not the first player to do that, listeners. He split Millwall Lions fans during his time at the Den and finished up being sold to Ipswich for a profit. He later had a spell as Colchester's reserve team coach and worked in the club's development fund before holding a similar role at Chelmsford City with his retirement through ill health. He still lives in Colchester. This was a few years ago, so I'm hoping he's still in good health and living in retirement in Colchester. Big shout out to Bobby Hunt. Now, dear listeners, I do like to have a look at the front page. I'm looking at the Sunday People. I can't resist ever looking at the front page. And there's a big story, big splash story. And anyone that's watched the film Scum, the early Ray Winstone work, will know what a ball stall is. And the big story is brutality at a ball stall. 6 boys tell of beatings. Ball stalls were kind of like reform schools, weren't they? They're similar kind of idea of young offenders going in for harsh almost army-style discipline. I don't know if that would be the right description. First one was actually at the village of Borstal, which is down near Rochester. And all of these units became known as Borstals. And it always has a bit of a grim sound to it, Borstal. And clearly the treatment of the boys there is reported by Trevor Aspinall in The People, edition September 17th, 1967, as being brutal. Suicide attempts by a number of boys are being investigated by the Home Secretary, Mr. Roy Jenkins. He has decided to act after The People produced sworn statements by 6 boys who served terms at Reading Borstal over the past 3 years. The official statement says the Home Secretary appreciates The People referring these statements so promptly after they came into their possession. He intends to initiate an inquiry to test their validity and is urgently considering the form this should take. 2 schools of thought on prison and punishment. Do you reform or do you punish? And you can kind of go around circles. Hopefully you try and do both. But anyway, Borstal's very much of the punishment school. The short, sharp shock idea revived itself in the 80s. Any of the older listeners remember Willie Whitelaw standing up at the Conservative Party conference promising a short, sharp shock for young offenders. This was very much the idea of Borstal's. It's a long piece, I won't read it all, but it's clearly an environment where the staff have power. And that's always a dangerous thing, isn't it, dear listeners? We know that. There we are. What else we got here on the front page? Crashed Russian jet. Police drag an airline has come down at Heathrow Airport, and they pulled out the pilot was believed to be working for Russian intelligence. Honor Blackman in a bikini with some type there. It's not a very good picture of Honor Blackman, who was one of the Bond girls, kissing on the beach. Let's see what's on the telly, shall we, listeners? Had enough of the heavy stuff. Let's have a look on BBC. Just 3 channels actually. 3 channels, kids. Can you imagine that? BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. BBC Two don't start till 7 o'clock at night, by the way. This is a Sunday. We've got farmers' programs, school programs in the morning, parish communion. I used to hate that. St Barnabas's Church, Attersley, church service. Hours worth of that. Then you got farming. That's Life with Bob Hope and William Bendix. A film in the afternoon. Battle of Britain Air Display. Tooties on at 5 to 6. That might be good. Sunday Story by Isabel Barnett on 6:45. Songs of Praise. Yeah, I used to hate that. Steptoes on. That was all right. Steptoes good. And then a film, and they all shuts at 10:25. Harold Macmillan talking about his memoirs. On ITV, you've got Star Soccer. It's Arsenal v Tottenham, 2:50. No big match back then. They're just preceded by Police 5 with Shaw Taylor. BBC Two starts at 7 o'clock. It's all done by 10:30. Big highlight of the night is the music of Dietrich Fischer-Dicker recital of his songs. That should be good, shouldn't it? There we are, dear listeners. Millwall won. Middlesbrough Millwall played at Ayresome Park. A season 1967-68 where we would finish in 8th position without ever really threatening the promotion spots. But it was a good season. Under Benny Fenton, we'd exit the FA Cup at Aston Villa 3-0. And we'd actually get to the 4th round of the League Cup before going at Darlington. 2-0 loss at Darlington. But we would finish 8th in the 2nd division. And it was the start of a decent run under Benny Fenton, where he was building his side ready for that thrust towards promotion in 71-72, which I've spoken often in my time. Championship side in Division 2 was Ipswich, and QPR were promoted with them being relegated Plymouth and Rotherham. Hope you've enjoyed our little look back at the past, dear listeners. Bit of a mishmash, a pass, smorgasbord of a show. Hope you've enjoyed it. I shall be back after the Middlesbrough game with good or bad news, depending on the results. So until the next edition of Achtung, we will keep those comments coming, chaps. But from me, Nick Hart, Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
How do want to watch?